Sweden's Lapland in winter. This land situated at the polar circle seems to be a frozen, lifeless mass. And yet life does indeed exist in this extraordinary winter wonderland. The high north is fascinating, yet dangerous. Here at the most extreme edge of civilization, both man and wildlife have adapted to the cold. Jürg lives with his huskies. The sledge dogs are, even today, essential, even with the introduction of motorised vehicles. Here, they are certainly man's best friend. The huskies are bred on a farm, and the finest of them are trained as sledge dogs. Jürg has many years of experience that he puts to good use. As well as a love of his dogs. They're extremely sensitive and need much care and affection. They open their heart to their musher, the sledge driver. Only a strict teacher who is also a friend is able to train them and turn them into first-rate sledge dogs. Each dog has his own harness that has been especially adapted to its body shape. Now, it's about to begin. The musher attaches a harness to each dog. Then, to protect the animal's paws, tiny boots are fitted. Next, the dogs are attached in pairs to the sledge's main drag rope. Their excitement increases. Huskies want only one thing: to run. They commence at full strength, but they don't travel far. They must stop at an igloo. On any journey into the white wilderness, it's important to be prepared for any contingency, including treacherous snowstorms. For emergencies, an igloo is ideal. Now our journey begins. It's just a short distance to a frozen lake. On the journey across the large lake, the dogs demonstrate their strength and determination. And musher Jürg feels like the adventurous Jack London. In Lapland, very cold, polar and relatively warm temperate weather conditions overlap. The result? Very changeable weather. Here, anything is possible. Now the sun shines. Then suddenly it becomes dark and a snowstorm makes it impossible to see anything. Only the husky is able to find its way in these conditions. The sense of smell of these dogs is highly tuned, and their self-confidence has helped many a human survive in the wilderness. This has been so for thousands of years. Around 4,000 years ago, huskies lived with a Chukchan, an indigenous tribe that lived in the far east of Russia. They were treated like members of the family. In winter, they were used for hunting and transport. In the day and at night, they slept in a yurt with the children, keeping them warm. In summer, the dogs were set free. They lived in a pack and together searched for food. Perhaps that explains why their descendants are able to survive so frugally. The dogs were quite docile and good friends of the family. At the slightest sign of ferocious behavior, a dog was killed and eaten. Suddenly, the musher stops in the middle of the lake. He decides on the best route. The journey continues. Today, only a trip across the lake is planned. Jürg wants to test the load capacity and the interaction of his dog team. For some time he has trained them and worked out which dogs make the best team. Only the finest combination of dogs is chosen for the task. Next, the trees on the banks come into view, and Jürg and his dogs determine the best route onto the higher, snow-covered land. The strong, four-legged bundles of energy pull the sledge as if they've just begun. They're able to run 60 kilometers in a single day. It's no problem for these highly trained dogs to achieve such results. They weigh about 30 kilograms and are able to pull 9 times their own body weight. Now the final spurt. Of course, the dogs well know the home straight towards their farm. They can also scent it. Now they're happy. The huskies remain harnessed and patiently await their food. Each animal has its own bowl and is fed from a dog feeder. They gorge down their soup, and then their tiny boots are removed. Here they don't require protection for their paws. Only now are they released from the main rope and unharnessed, and the sledge is duly stored away. For the dogs, this is nothing special, just normal routine. Each dog trainer breeds his own team. The young ones remain with their mother for 3 or 4 weeks. Then the males are separated from the females. Next, they attend a kind of nursery school, and after 12 months they're old enough to be trained, with much love and attention. A successful day comes to an end, and the sun shines over the snow-covered landscape. Here the weather can change in an instant. The next morning, it's snowing. Musher Jürg wants to feed reindeer and visit friends. A suitable opportunity. In the deep winter, reindeer are constantly in search of food. They dig for lichen beneath meters-high masses of snow. Only occasionally do they find the lichen that grows on tree trunks. The half-wild reindeer are timid and roam the forest in groups, always in search of food. Because they're afraid of dogs, Jürg visits them without his pack. During this difficult season, he cares for the reindeer and helps them to survive. Jürg walks with his skis across the snow-covered landscape. He visits his friend Sami, who lives amid the wilderness in a tepee on a small lake. After a friendly welcome, the duties are shared and Sami lights a fire outside the tent, as Jürg drills a hole into the ice of the frozen lake. During the cold winter, small lakes are covered by half a meter of ice. The fish duly retreat to the bottom of the lake. A fishing line is dropped into a hole in the ice, and immediately a fish bites. It's carefully pulled out and examined. The fish is good enough to eat, but they need a second one for lunch. They must hurry because in these low temperatures, the hole in the ice is freezing up rapidly. If a fish is too young, it's thrown back into the water. Sami cleans the fish and cuts them in two. then takes them to the open fireplace. Coffee is prepared in an old can. Next, the fish halves are salted, then laid on an iron grate over a fire. An appetizing sight. A romantic campfire al fresco. There's a flurry of snow. Sunny surveys the fire and frequently turns the fish. Then it's ready. The grilled fish is placed on thin wooden plates and both men take their lunch into the tepee in which there's a warm fire. Now they cheer each other, as is common among men in the wilderness. Jürg continues his journey through the forest as he wants to inspect further reindeer herds. Soon he encounters a small herd and feeds some of the animals. Although they roam around in the wild freely, they actually belong to a breeder who always has them under his control. The snow and ice are often impenetrable. Then the animals are unable to get to the fungus and lichen on the ground. So many of them starve. But today, help is at hand. Reindeer are well adapted to cold and snow. Strong, curly hair, full of air, and large hooves so they can't sink into the snow. The Sami people have always bred reindeer, and one family can have around 400. However, these nomads are increasingly beginning to settle. Jürg wants to learn more about the Sami and walks through the snow-covered forest to a small settlement of this hardy tribe. Lotta awaits him in front of her lavvu, a circular tent that resembles an Indian tepee and is covered by a thick layer of snow. After a hearty welcome, the representative of this tribe lets him into her kota. A sloped wooden door is the only thing that can be seen apart from a huge pile of snow. Lotta quickly closes this door into another world. Inside, it's warm and comfortable. Lotta and her 3 grandchildren sit around an open fire. Coffee is boiling, and a meal is being prepared in a large pan. Then she serves the Sami's national dish: fried potatoes, low bush cranberry yogurt sauce, and reindeer meat cut into strips. A tasty mix. During the meal, Lotta explains the history of her tribe, the Sami, the people of both sun and wind. The Sami have always inhabited the high north. They were nomads and reindeer breeders who roamed Lapland throughout the year, across hundreds of kilometers to fresh new pastures. Lotta opens the sloped door and leaves the warmth of her kota. In daylight, her blue traditional Sami clothing is plain to see. A brooch and colourful necklace decorate her dress coat, and fur boots protect her feet. Lotta proudly bids us farewell, then disappears into her kota. The Sami tribe is truly alive and well. A new day, and the sun is shining. A new adventure awaits us. A journey with the huskies through a forest. Full of enthusiasm, the dogs pull the sledge on the new, snow-covered surface. They're more jumping than running across the snow. They enthusiastically make their way across the snow-covered landscape, always happy, always enthusiastic. Huskies certainly love to run for miles and miles. Indeed, if they don't have enough activity, they can become ill. The sledge has a bumpy ride. Ice-blue dog's eyes and pink fluttering tongues sparkle in the snow. It's a wonderful and very moving sight. The leading dog frequently looks at his musher. He is trained to take orders. Reliability and obedience being an absolute must. Our journey leads through a snow-covered fairy tale forest of remarkable beauty. For 7 months of the year, the land is ruled by both cold and snow. But people, wildlife and plants have adapted to these conditions. Huskies are impervious to the cold. For thousands of years, the Arctic sledge dog has developed a fur which makes its survival in the high north possible. The fur has 2 layers. The coat is water repellent and robust, and beneath is a greasy undercoat that contains much thin hair. The 2 layers guarantee protection because the undercoat produces warmth through rubbing, and the coat hair prevents heat loss. The musher stops at a clearing. The main rope and sledge are duly secured. The dogs look at what Jürg is doing. They grow excited when he moves away from the sledge. He tramps slowly through the meters-deep snow towards some small trees. Then he places a trap in order to catch an animal for food. He returns to the sledge. It's very difficult to travel in the deep snow. Jürg unties the main rope and the sledge, and the journey continues. A journey into remoteness, with only the musher and his dogs. These Nordic dogs were also bred by Siberian nomadic tribes and were used to pull sledges. Alaskan trappers also used them. There aren't any breeding standards. The only things that count are power, reliability, strength and character. Crossbreeding has also been successful, producing robust and strong Nordic dogs that are at home in the polar climate. In each husky, there's still a little bit of the wild wolf. This is more than evident when they howl, and in their strong hunting instincts. There are 2 main breeds, the Siberian husky and the Alaskan husky. One is known for its endurance and intelligence, and the other for its strength and condition rather than speed. However, each breed is power-packed with energy. Jürg is obviously very proud of his dogs. He has bred and trained them. For them, he's the boss, simply the musher. It seems as though the dogs can sense that today's destination is close by. The team stops, the sledge is secured, the main rope fixed, and the loyal dogs are duly patted affectionately. They're given some soup. Again, each animal has its own bowl. Jürg carries his luggage to a small hut. Later, the huskies are untied and their night camp prepared. A small fire in front of the kota is lit and the customary coffee is prepared in an old can, an age-old tradition in the cold north. The dogs dig sleeping holes in the ground, and Jürg enjoys his coffee and the last beams of the setting sun. Next day, we're greeted by a fairy tale land full of sparkling snow crystals. The morning wakes everyone with a shining blue sky and piping hot coffee outside the kota. The packing is done, then the sledge is loaded. The dogs fed and harnessed, they're finally secured to the sledge. The musher once again checks the harness, pets his loyal companions, and enjoys the wonderful winter's day. Everyone is relaxed. Jürg contentedly leads his team through snow-covered forests and across frozen swamps. And the dogs are well contented too. A day trip can cover 60 kilometers, and thankfully running is the dogs' favorite sport. The Arctic huskies have pulling power in their blood. The bright young ones soon learn from their elders. That's why a musher often forms teams of both experienced and inexperienced dogs. The huskies control their body temperature with their large tongue. They're unable to sweat. Any excess warmth is panted away. The arrangement of a husky team is always the same. The leading dog in front, often with a newcomer beside him. He understands each command and thinks ahead. He must be respected by the rest of the team. And he must also understand commands and, if necessary, ignore them when it's for the betterment of his team. Not every husky can be used as a leader, but a good trainer is able to select the right dog. The sledge makes its way over uneven ground, an open clearing that, without ice and snow, is an impenetrable, swampy landscape. But more about the huskies. Following the leader are the draft huskies, the strongest animals, who pull the sledge almost without apparent effort. At the back follow the wheel dogs that remain unfazed by the sledge behind them. Skillfully, Jürg leads the husky team through the white paradise. He's very satisfied with his dogs. His training and selection are now paying dividends. It requires many experiments and much patience until a suitable team of huskies is created. The endless beauty and remoteness of the high north has always fascinated and attracted those in search of adventure. But for the people in these frozen regions, the husky is essential for their very survival.